Is someone offended by what you say or what you do or how you live your life? You have the right to exist. You have the right to take up space wherever you are in the world. As long as you're not breaking the law or hurting yourself or anyone else and it's making you happy, you have the right to be there. And you know what? If they don't like the fact that you're taking up space, they can take up space elsewhere. There's a whole other world out there. And the reason these people can't support you is either because they don't know you, they're jealous of you, maybe. Um, Maybe they were not given that emotional support, that emotional encouragement. Maybe they weren't given love that was needed for them to flourish. And sometimes there are just people out there that are broken. They won't admit it, they'll deny it every time, but they feel that they need to break people as they were broken in order for them to feel whole. And then there are these exceptions. Oh, respect your elders. That does not mean to tolerate abuse and harassment from a family member or a friend or somebody that you love. By all means, give respect to everyone. Okay, I believe that. I believe that I should give respect to everyone until they have proven otherwise. Otherwise, show respect to everyone, but until that person proves themselves to be unworthy. If they are unworthy of your respect, of your time, of your love, your compassion, your support, your encouragement, you can slowly withdraw your respect. You're not disrespecting them. No, you're taking a step back and saying, okay, I've tried to help you. I've tried to do this. I've tried to be there for you, but you are pushing me away. You've put a barrier between us, and I'm not going to keep pounding my head and my fists into this wall, this fortress that you've put around yourself. And I understand what it means to deal with people that have mental illness, and especially those that are older than I am, or elderly, or considered a senior citizen. But I'm going to say is age and mental illness is not an excuse for abuse, especially if you're on the end of that scenario where you're the one being abused by that person. And, you know, you cannot keep compromising your happiness for someone else's happiness and well being. You should not go insane just for someone to gain some sanity. You shouldn't have to wound yourself over and over again just so someone can be healed. I don't know how you've been treated, but you are worth more than that. Value yourself. You survived. Yes, you may love without restraint. You may love without conditions and love unconditionally, but now is the time to have conditions. Now is the time to have boundaries. You're not giving people hoops to go through just to love you. What you're doing is saying, I will love you regardless. But if you disrespect my boundaries, I will step back. Not because I'm angry, but because I value myself more. I value my sanity more. I value who I am. And I don't want to be stuck in a situation like that person that thinks that they need to tell me why they're offended, or why what I'm doing is stupid, or why I shouldn't be living the way that I do. It's not their life. I don't go up to someone and say, hey, you shouldn't live your life like this, unless I knew that it was hurting them. And even then, eventually there would be a time where I would stop. I would just say, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. And we as a society have been taught these man-made rules. And I know this. I know we've been taught either by conservative religious or political views, or just these man-made societal laws that have instilled in us that we need to serve without restraint. We need to give it to the man. We need to help those in need. We need to just drop everything. But baby, you're in need too. You need to help yourself. You might be the person that needs the most help. And sometimes the poor, the meek, all those people that Jesus was talking about on Mount Olive, the downtrodden, the heartbroken, sometimes that person is you. It's yourself. It's not that homeless guy in the corner. It's not that guy going through recycling, worrying about what he's going to eat. It's not about some child in Africa that has to dig a well for water. It is not about all these other people around the world. This is about you. You don't know any of those people. They don't know you. Do you think that anything you do is going to matter in a country like Nepal or China or whatever it is? Yes, have compassion on people, help people by all means. But you are all of those things. You need to have love. You need to have support and encouragement. And I'm going to say there's nobody in this physical world that can necessarily give you that. And this is why you need to give yourself love, support. It's because you're not a lost cause. Okay? You're not a lost cause. If you've lived your life serving people and that's been your way of life because you thought that was your calling, that's beautiful. Especially if you think that that's like your calling and you think that God or Christ is giving you that opportunity. That's a beautiful thing. But it doesn't say anywhere in the Bible that you need to be a doormat or an emotional punching bag or a garbage can or a shithole or something that people dump things into or hit or punch or do horrible things to. That's not what you're here for. And you weren't the one that was in the wrong. What went wrong was the process. You gave your love to the wrong people. And when you give your love to the wrong people, these people take advantage of that. They see that as an opportunity, as an opening. They're like, here's this person that will give me everything and anything. I don't even have to ask, but I will, and I'll keep going. It's like a drug. It's like a druggie and a drug lord. Now, normally, they would have nothing to do with each other, but they're dependent on one another. And the druggie, most importantly, because it's a codependence. And so when someone sees someone as fabulous and giving and generous and loving and compassionate and understanding as you, they don't see the value in that. They see materialism. They see, here is somebody that can give me attention and I don't have to pay for it. I can just sit on my ass and have them do the things that I want. And I'm going to say, when you leave a situation of a codependency, guess what? They're probably going to be fine, you know? Especially if it's like an abusive spouse or something. You're like, oh no, what if they don't survive without me? Okay, you did everything you could do to help that person. You did everything that you could to help, to support, to encourage, to have compassion, to be understanding. You did everything that you thought that was possible that could be done. But they didn't give anything back. Because that's what you were expecting. You were expecting, okay, I'm giving this. I get this back in return. And somehow some of us miss that. We miss that because we think, well, as long as this person is happy, I'm happy. Nah. You're your own happiness. You need to make your own. You can't have happiness in just one person. because it's a person. They're going to come and go, they're going to leave, they're going to die, so many things are going to happen. And as I said, you can love others as you love yourself, but you need to learn to love yourself, to love who you are. You need to get to know who you are. Do you know who you are? I mean, have you checked in with yourself? Like have you said, for instance, are you happy? Are you mentally and emotionally balanced right now? Are you content with how your life is? If the answer is no to any of these questions, I urge you to be the change that you desire to see. And it's not going to be easy. This may take months, weeks, it may even take years. It may take your entire life, but you heal on your own time. Don't have anybody rush you. Don't say you need to get over this, you need to work on it. Whose decision is that? It's yours. It's your life. It's time to take control of it. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a walk in the park or a walk in a rose garden, because it never is, because it's life. It's going to have a lot of setbacks. You're going to feel like you're stagnant at times. But yes, manifest, baby, manifest. That's what it is. That's not metaphysical new age shit that you need to get offended by. Manifest just means you are being the change that you want to see. And that is what a lot of women do, whether they are pagan, Wiccan, Christian, Mormon, a Satanist, whatever it is, whatever religion or political view they have, people are doing that. Some people call it prayer, others call it witchcraft. Maybe somebody else might call it going to mass on Sunday. I don't really care what you call that, but manifesting is a natural thing. That manifesting is evolving, and this is your time to shine. This is your time to manifest to your full potential, because nobody can manifest for you. You cannot change someone that does not want to be changed. And nobody can come into your life and say, okay, change this, change that, unless you're a child. But even then, change is very difficult, and it happens inside. So that means you have to be the change. You have to change. And yes, you can love others, but learn to love yourself more. That's not selfish. That's self-care. Nobody can give you that me time. Only you can give yourself that me time. So just give yourself some me time. Take a moment to breathe, to look at your life, to do something maybe that you've wanted to do. Maybe there's a dream that you've had that you've put aside because you thought it was too complicated, or because someone wasn't there to encourage you enough with it, or you lost interest in it. But it was something that was always, you were always driven with passion throughout your life. Be you, do you. Don't stop because someone is offended. Don't stop because somebody doesn't like the way that you're doing something. It doesn't matter. The fact that they are taking up space within your chat room or within your vicinity, your neighborhood, your store, wherever you are, where this other person that's confronting you is. The fact that they are saying that you do not deserve to take up space, you do not deserve to speak, you do not deserve to exist, it's not really up to them. Because regardless, unless I really don't want to be here, I'm going to exist. And yes, I could choose not to exist. But if there's somebody out there that says, oh, I can't live without you, I can't live without you, that is dysfunctional. Now, that might be a sign of endearment, it might not be taken literally, and maybe it is a really sweet kind of thing. But when someone, if you are leaving because you feel that they can't live without you, honey, if they're narcissists, they're gonna find another victim. If they're good looking, they're gonna find another victim. If they fall apart and they end up being on the streets and uh, are hitting rock bottom, or they end up taking, deciding they don't want to exist anymore, that's not your fault. That's them. That's a them issue. That's not a you issue. And yes, it's really hard because I've been there. I've been with people that were abusive, that were elderly, that were mentally ill, all of those things. And I thought, oh gosh, if I leave, how are they going to function? Gee, well, they existed pretty much before you met them. They were living and breathing and functioning fairly well, maybe not mentally and emotionally, but they seem to be doing pretty well on their own beforehand. So, you know what? When you take a step back, it's no longer your problem. It's not your problem. Because if you sat around and if there's a situation where you could have prevented it, where you're like, okay, here, I'm warning you, these are the consequences of you living this way, of you treating me this way. You need to stop. You're hurting me, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting everyone around you. If they're not listening to you and they don't hear that and they are not changing, they are not considering you or your feelings, you take a step back, not your responsibility anymore. It's not yours. That's the thing. People will try to blame you. I've seen people who decide not to exist, write a note and say, look what you made me do. You didn't do anything. Were you there? Did you put that did you put whatever device that they used to end their existence into their hands? No. Did you push them off the cliff or push them off that bridge? No. Did you assist them in any way? No. If you're not in their home anymore, that's not your responsibility. You are responsible for yourself. And regardless of what set of events they think that you set into motion, it's still them. It's still a them thing. Do yourself a favor. Instead of thinking, how are they going to survive without me? How are you going to survive without yourself? If you die inside, who are you going to help? If you're an empty shell of a person, what are you going to give to people? What are you going to give to the next relationship? And yes, I understand it's hard to take a step back and to go out, because leaving a home that is abusive or a relationship is hard, because you have a lot of vein-like connections, and to tear them out is like tearing out veins. It's like tearing off, your lifeblood in a way. I don't know if you've ever seen where you tear off those IVs. It's painful like that. And sometimes you have to do it very slowly, like a band-aid, and take it off one at a time, because some of us don't differentiate from emotional attachment to actual, like, bonding. You can have an emotional attachment, and when you have these cords that are wrapped around you and wrapped around them, just imagine those cords are over your eyes. If you can't see yourself in the mirror, if you can't see who you are, if you can't see that you are in need, there is a problem. And in the words of Marina Diamandis, the singer, I love you, but I love me more.